Hi, welcome to a Barmy Army podcast number 22. Tonight I'm joined by Jon and Jake. Evening, guys.
Hey, mate.
Good
Are you
evening.
both well? You both well?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, Marc. Yeah, not too bad.
Good. We'll do the niceties. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of a chat and talk about a season preview. And go from there and see what we get around and where we end up with this. So the season it's exciting. It's only 3 weekends away. You're looking forward. I know it's weird that we're not going to be there, but you're kind of looking forward to the season beginning. Jake?
Absolutely. At first, I was thinking, we're not going to be there. It's not going to be half as good. But as we get nearer, it's just getting more and more excited. I can't wait till that afternoon when we're all watching us play Chelsea. I'm up for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to believe that the last game we saw was February. Was it Everton?
Yeah, 23rd.
February, and it doesn't look like we're going to get into a ground anytime soon with the current situation in the Greater Manchester area. But yeah, it's come around quick. Jon, are you looking forward to the season restarting?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just to watch the team, but also all the questions that we've been asking ourselves: who's going to start where, this, that, and the other. Obviously, we'll get a few answers now, won't we? So yeah, lots of excitement and anticipation as well.
Yeah, I mean it's an exciting time because obviously we've had 2 pre-season games already. We played Glasgow City. We beat them 4-0, I think it was. Then on Sunday we played Blackburn, and it was a rumoured 6-0 win. We can't confirm that because there's no evidence of it, but we're scoring goals, which is good. We've not conceded again, which is good. So yeah, evening Torrent. Hope you're well. Yeah, Deborah makes a very good point here. It'll feel more real when every fixture's out.
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's start with our season, and then we'll try and talk about other teams. So, as 2 gentlemen who go to a lot of the games, if I was to say to you right here, right now, before a ball has been kicked, what would you settle for where you would like United to finish comfortably? What would you say, Jon?
Settle for, I would have to say third, because we've at least got to go for third, even though we will be the massive underdogs to get third. I would have liked to have got into this season looking above us a little bit more, but I think the way things are going, I might be looking over my shoulder a bit more. One of the first things I looked at when the fixtures did come out is who's Reading got on the first couple of games, instead of thinking to myself, okay, who's Man City got for the first couple of games. That's a bit disappointing. I'm not too sure why I'm thinking like that. It must be a few dealings over the summer, maybe. But for me, definitely got to go for third. But if we can just close the gap and finish 4th, then that's not the end of the world. But we've definitely got to go for third for me.
Yeah, Jake?
My expectations have sort of changed over the last few weeks, seeing how other teams have strengthened and how they might push us a bit closer this season. So, despite what some fans say, I'd be happy to settle for 4th again. Because I'll admit we're not quite top 3 level yet, but I like to think we are the best of the rest, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'm. If I'm honest, I'm in between both of you. I agree with both of you. I think top 3, but if could offer 4th and closer to 3rd than we probably were last season, I think that's a good season. Evening, Jon. Jon has said 4th in the Conti Cup win. Now, Jake, your eyes have just picked up at that because we all know you love the Conti Cup.
Oh, that'll be a dream come true. Look, Jon, I'd love that as well. But that's the whole thing. You have to get past one of the big 3 to win the Conti Cup. Maybe if the stars align and luck falls in our favour, we can do it.
Yeah, for me, I would love a good cup run. I would look. We've got to the semi-final of the Conti Cup the past 2 years. We didn't have a decent draw in the FA Cup. That's by the by. And the year before, we played Reading and we lost out there. But a good cup run would be nice. And I think Casey, she's always mentions a good cup run as well. So I would like that. Natalie said about Jake, for you, forget what Reading are doing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so you've been told. Natalie's also said the striker will come.
Ooh.
Ooh.
The striker.
Now that could be something interesting, and there's that other one. Last year we were quite, we were points behind, quite a few points behind third. Obviously, we dropped points against Bristol at home, which was an annoyance to most of us. And West Ham, I know those are the two that most of the fans talk about. Natalie's kind of put a striker will come. Do you think that's all that's lacking us to get to that third position, John? A striker who will bang in the goals?
I think if you ever look at where we've strengthened already, I think what Casey's done is what I think a lot of fans wanted to happen. We've got strength out wide now. We've got another attacking fullback. We've got experience mixed with those two youth players as well, younger players, I should say. If we can get a striker as well, then that does tick a lot of boxes there. It's interesting to see the avenue that she's gone down, or United have gone down more than maybe Casey. We have gone a bit more younger, who could potentially develop and reach a potential in 2 or 3 years, as opposed to signing strikers or players who are already at the peak, so to say. So hopefully that will be. Hopefully we can reach those heights earlier rather than later. Because the last thing I'd want to see is us reach those heights in 2 or 3 years, but go through a bit of pain in this first year. If we can just get there gradually, with steady progression this year, and then reach the heights, I would take that definitely. Yeah,
and that goes back to Casey's, what she's always said from the beginning, which is run, walk, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Now, tonight could be very interesting because Fiona's put this in. This is going to get Jake a little bit. If the rumours are true, I could see third.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm wondering what these rumours are, but I like the optimism, Fiona.
Oh, well, Jake, here is the answer to your question.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. I've not heard that before, but there we go.
This is breaking news. This is breaking news for us tonight, because we're all kind of silent going, really? Wow.
Mind blown.
Yeah. Natalie's gone straight in with Imagine. John Fry, he said a striker, yes, and you think we need a pacey centre-back too? Do you think we need any more centre-backs in the squad? I'm not, just as a... Jake?
Not desperately, but it would be good, to have some backup to, Millie, Abby, Amy. Having a fourth centre-back would, as Casey says, increase competition. It's about having, 2 players for each position. So it would be good, ideally, but I don't think it's something we desperately are crying out for.
Yeah, I mean, John does make a point. It says that Abby sometimes get caught out up against pace. I can see his point on that one. John, do you agree with maybe a new centre back? Maybe.
I mean, I agree with Jake. I don't think it's the first thing on my mind, but I think the interesting thing is who's going to be the partnership this season. Obviously, you'd expect it to be Abby and Millie, but if Amy doesn't get game time on that right hand side, which she probably won't, maybe this season. Amy's performance over the past couple of seasons, has she deserved to be at least thought of in the starting 11? I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. But then again, I don't want to take the other 2 out either. So, but it will be interesting to see who partners who in that in the centre back position, because you've got 3 good choices there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I said it when Jake and I were on with Craney a couple of weeks ago, that when I was picking my starting 11, I went with Amy and Millie. As did you, Jake. So, yeah. Deborah said in the comments, that we need more goals from midfield. I can see Jon nodding and Jake, so I would agree as well. I think, in our championship season, most of our goals came from the middle of the park. So is that something we're hoping we can get more of this season, Jake?
Absolutely. Now, we all know how much I love Lucy standing forth, and not to put pressure on her, but I think she'll bag a few this season. Definitely a few. Might only be single figures, but I think she's got to score some screamers, definitely. And then, of course, you've got, Jackie Groenham, who we're all expected to chip in with a few goals. So, yeah, definitely a few more goals from midfield this season.
Now, it's funny you mentioned Jackie Groenham because, as we said as we opened up, that we played Blackburn on Sunday and it was a rumoured 6-0 win. And we believe Jackie got 2 of them. So hopefully that will now quieten down some of the people on social media that Jackie needs to score goals. She's got 2 from open play, as far as we know. So I'm happy with that. And I think it was the one thing that most people wanted Jackie to add to a game last season was goals. Jon, I know you've said that before.
Yeah, she puts in so much effort everywhere else. All she's missing is those goals, in my opinion. And I think when she first joined us, I was kind of expecting this, fantastic signing. She would automatically score goals, but I know that isn't necessarily her strength. But we know that she can do it. So yeah, it's only a matter of time before she starts scoring in the WSL. As Jake says, we know what Lucy's capable of. Katie can score from open play maybe this season and not just free kicks or penalties. And then obviously Tooney can get on the pitch a bit more as well, hopefully, and she can get a few goals. So there is goals out there. And you say about from midfield, maybe LJ can play a bit of a number 10 role as well, potentially. So maybe a goal could come from midfield from there as well. So there are definitely options out there. It just depends on what Katie's formation and what starting, what formation will be, really.
Yeah, Fiona puts in the comments she hopes Leah and Kirsty add some more goals. I'm going to presume that's Kirsty Hanson and not Kirsty Smith. Actually, Kirsty Smith, if she wants to add as well, the more the merrier.
We do need more goals. Sorry, Jake. We do need more goals coming from the wide areas, don't we? As well, there's no harm in putting crosses in the box. And I think when we saw the highlights on the first game, the Glasgow game, a lot of them, if not all of them, came from crosses, which is a bit unusual because we used to see the likes of Leah and Kirsty actually running with the ball more than crossing the ball. So it's nice to see a few crosses going into the box as well.
Yeah, going back to Jackie, Jon has said, you can see on the pitch Jackie is a trier and a team player. So yes, hope those 2 goals will help her relax and in front of goal. Yeah, I hope so as well because she's such a fan favourite. I know there's a lot of people out there who border on the obsession with Jackie, but for us guys who go and watch her week in, week out, she's clearly a fan favourite and she's brilliant on the ball. She plays some passes that actually, when you look back, you don't realise how good the passes really were. So you're both saying 3rd or 4th with a good. Jake wants 4th with a Conti Cup win. Ultimately,
that's very optimistic, but yeah,
that's the dream. The cup final, Jake.
Dream.
Are you going to get your face painted if we get to a cup final?
You never know. I've done some wild stuff before, Marc. So
no, Jake. I've been on the social. I know about your game atmosphere stuff. We'll leave it at that. I suppose one of the biggest things for us is scoring goals in front of scoring goals, and I think a lot of us were I think there's a lot of people out there who have been overcritical that we didn't score enough goals last season in the league. That I think has to be personally. We were playing better teams than in the Championship, and we've said it on here before, and Jon, and I know you said it, and I know Jake, you said it as well about Jess playing through the middle. That's where she needs to go and play. That's the best position, and hopefully with Ivana coming through as well, maybe we can have as Jon said, play LJ as a number 10 and play Ivana and Jess up front together and have some lightning pace. I would like that. Jon?
Yeah, all of a sudden, when you start mentioning all these names that can play in that like a creative midfield role, basically any midfield role that's not Hayley Ladd, all of a sudden we've got options in that midfield again. Whereas last season it looks like Casey just had to just trust the three that she had. She never really, rightly or wrongly so, she never really changed that starting three midfielders. Whereas now, it looks like that she can do pretty much anything she wants. So there's definitely goals with these additions to the team. That's really exciting me now just to see the style of play that we play as well, and will we be more direct, or will we go from the wings, will we play through the middle? There's so many different questions to answer, I guess.
Jake?
I think the main thing about the signings we've made so far is it gives Casey so much space to sort of experiment, and I hope she does sort of have a plan B and a plan C this season, and will rejig the team around when things aren't going brilliantly. But look at the midfield options now. I mean, we've got so many central midfielders to fit into 2 or 3 roles, depending on the formation. We've got plenty of options going forward as well, because just one player in Ivana adds so many possibilities. You could have a front 3, you could have one up on a road. There's just so many. And I know the last time I was on, we talked about what formations we'd like to play. And obviously, me being traditional, I said 4-4-2. But look, Casey has so many possibilities. So I'd like to see them all given a chance. And who knows, we could have 1 or 2 surprises.
Yeah, I mean, it's this time, well, I suppose earlier this time last year, I was on with Rodney and we were doing a similar thing, talking about the team and the lineup and everything else. And I think you've hit it spot on the head, Jake. We need to keep the team opposition guessing. And as I'm saying that, John Fry puts exactly the same message up. I think
a lot of people thought that. Sorry, Mark. I think a lot of people thought that towards the end of, especially Christmas time onwards. I think a few of the fans were getting frustrated that we was playing the same players over and over again until obviously there was an injury, and I can understand why, because from September to December, or September to November at least, those starting 11 did get us to quite a comfortable 4th position and top of the Conti Cup group. But then when things started to drift away a little bit and we needed that little bit of spark off the bench or change it up a little bit, Casey did seem a little bit bemused on where to go. Whereas, as Jake just said, no, there's so many options that you can't pick them all. I wish we could pick them all, but we can't. So I think that's an indication of a good transfer window, to be honest.
Yeah, look, for me, the positions that I think we needed to strengthen at the end of last season, I think Casey's gone and done that. She's brought in a full back. She's brought in Lucy Stan, which made Jake very, very happy. And then she's brought in Ivana, who is the unknown player in all of this for me. You can, and when we have these different formations that we can play, Lucy Stan can play as that box-to-box midfielder. Ivana can play either side and up front. Honor can play left back, full back, wherever we want. And I know there's a lot of people out there now who are worrying that Honor's being played at left back instead of a preferred position at right back. But it's pre-season. It's just experimentational right now for me. And I'm quite happy. And if we bring in, imagine if we brought in, Kristen Press and Tobin Heath. I mean, we would, there's people out there who would expect us to now win the WSL with those two, if it happened. And we don't know if it is. It's just rumour. But Deborah says, keep the opposition guessing and keep the team fresh. And that was one of the biggest criticisms, because there wasn't a lot of team changes for the United last season. I think Mary didn't play in 2 games, which would be the Leicester game and the
Birmingham, I think, was it?
Birmingham, correct. Millie missed a couple through injury, but she was never present usually. So, yeah, I think we need to keep the opposition guessing, because I think you said you were spot on, John, where you said back end of this, from the Christmas break onwards, we were too easy to read. We knew where in the stands, we knew where it was going. And I think that was one of the things. And it's not a criticism, it's just some teams learn how to, you learn how to play each other. Yeah, John agrees as well. Experiment now, not in the season. So let's see where that goes. And Fiona, I like the uncertainty around Ivana. Opposition won't know what to expect. And actually, I like that as well. Teams won't know where she plays, and hopefully it's a bit around.
She looks really quick. We've seen a few training videos. She looks really happy. The foul towers, she's out there posing for all the foul towers. She looks really happy and content, coming over from a new country as well, joining a new club. She looks like that she's taking it in a stride. And if she is as happy as she looks, then obviously that'll go onto the pitch with a lot of confidence. And, I'm looking forward to seeing her play, definitely.
I think, I am as well. And, hopefully there'll be some information coming out about how we're going to do a watch along, and we'll all be together. Obviously, we can't be together at the game, but we'll have something, I'm sure, sorted out soon. So, John, I think you mentioned it when you spoke earlier. You are fearful of Reading this season?
Yeah, I'm looking over my shoulder. I was looking at their fixtures, and I shouldn't be. I wanted to go into this season looking at who have Chelsea, Arsenal, and City got. But it's just all for me. It all depends on how quickly our new players can settle, because I'm sure they'll be great in the future. But if they get off to a bit of a rocky start, then all of a sudden, I can see Reading or other teams getting a bit closer to us. The gap between us and fifth is obviously a lot closer than us and third. So that does worry me a little bit. Obviously, the opening games are a little bit easier for us this season compared to last season. Obviously, not playing Arsenal and City, just playing Birmingham and Chelsea. Hopefully, on paper, should be a bit easier. Reading have got one tough game, one easy game, but this is what I dislike. I'm looking too much at Reading's fixtures now when I should be looking at the top three, in my opinion. But let's see what happens. It's still, the ball's not even been kicked yet, so let's see how it goes.
So, Jake, are you fearful of any of the teams around us?
Reading would be the obvious answer. And I think the only reason why there was the gap between us last season is because Reading dropped us a few points that they really shouldn't have, against the likes of Brighton. I think they drew against Bristol as well. I think that was Reading. But look, you look at the squad this season, they've kept the solid midfield of Ankara James and Farrell Williams, and the signings they've brought in. Look, I'd be happy if they came to United. They are big signings, like Emma Mitchell at fullback, Dan Carter go up front, and obviously in the last 2 days you've had Jess Fishlock, absolute Welsh legend, joining for at least half the season, I think, on loan from the NWSL. So Reading, just signings alone do strike a little bit of fear into me. So you just don't know what to expect from them. And hopefully, from our perspective, they continue to drop points when they really shouldn't. But we can't bank on that. We need to step up, and we need to make sure that we're performing better than them at the very least. Because you never know what's going to happen when we play each other. Because every time we played them, it's been a really tough game. So it's going to come down to when we're not playing them, I think, and who drops most points.
Yeah, John said the whole squad looks happy and looks fitter this season too. The photographs that we're seeing are just smiles, and it's great to see, because obviously it's been a tough period for every single person, this lockdown and everything that's going on in the world with the pandemic. But you see those photographs every day, and obviously it just puts a little bit of a smile that things are starting to get back to normal out there. Warren, hi, welcome to this. He just wants to know our thoughts on a battle. John, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so obviously she started against Glasgow, didn't she, on that left-hand side. For me, this is all about what Casey's season training in, or pre-season at the moment. So we can all make predictions two weeks ago about who we think may get into that starting lineup based on the end of last season and what we know going into this season. If Honor does start, then that wouldn't surprise me at all, because it just depends on what side of the pitch that she starts on. So I'm excited. We know the type of player that she is. We know that she can run forward with the ball, which I've mentioned plenty of times what I like in my fullbacks, and I'm sure you've mentioned it as well, Mark. So we know that she can bring the type of attributes that Lotta can bring as well. Hopefully, she'll set up a bit quicker maybe than Lotta did. But for me, now we have got that strength in depth. We have got options, and she's going to be one of the main contenders in that starting 11, definitely.
Jake, are you looking forward to seeing Honor?
Absolutely. I didn't know a lot about her before she joined, but obviously she's played for Spain a few times, just in cameo roles sometimes. But look, she's quick. I know she's quick. I know she's got a very attacking mind. So whether she links up with Leah or Kirsty, she's very threatening going forward. Who knows? She might be, putting some crosses into the box and bagging some assists. Or, fingers crossed that's what she does. But I do have high hopes for Honor. Absolutely. I think she's young. She's hungry. High hopes.
Yeah, I echo what you both said. Oh, Jake's just always back. So going back to the teams we fear, neither of you said Everton. Are you not worried about Everton, Jake? Because I know you love going to Everton. It's your favourite game.
Oh, it's we all love Everton away. More so at Southport, but we'll get used to the new pitch or park, whatever. Everton. Look, they've also made some brilliant signings. I'm not going to deny that. They've brought in Ingrid Movold and I think the other one's called Sevica. I'm not quite sure on the pronunciation of the other one. And then of course, Valerie Govan, that big money striker. So they've absolutely improved as well. And you look at the midfielders that didn't play last season. Hayley Rasso, I know she's a winger. Izzy Christiansen. They're just like Reading, so maybe they are just as big a threat. The only reason why I'm a little bit more confident is because look at the two teams last season. Reading were just that little bit better. And they've made similar signings in terms of quality. So I can see Reading finishing a little bit above them, but we're getting to the point now in the league where we can't take anything for granted. Teams are strengthening. Teams are making the big signings that, 2-3 seasons ago you'd never think of. So Everton, look, I don't think we're going to be beating 3-0 anymore. I'll say that.
Yeah, Torren has said Everton is this season's wild card.
Good point.
And John has said, I fear Everton, and Willie Kirk sussed us out last season. So a threat. John, Everton for you?
Yeah, very similar to Jake. I think what's interesting is I'm expecting United to get more points and close the gap on the top three. But just because we're going to close the gap, it doesn't mean that Reading and Everton can't close the gap as well. Obviously, points somewhere has got to drop, and we saw last season with Birmingham and Liverpool not getting many points. So it's going to be very hard to, the gap's got to be compromised somewhere. So if the gap isn't between the third and fourth, then it must be towards the very bottom of the league. The points have got to go somewhere. But maybe this season, that top three will possibly still be that top three, but the gap between all six of us can potentially be closer.
Everton for me are, I agree with Torren, sorry. They are the wild card. I know they've let Poppy Patterson go. She's gone to City. Who those people in the BA who were craving for Poppy to come. But I fear Everton just as much as Reading. I understand the Reading thing. They are a very good team. But other than Reading and Everton, you don't really fear anyone else in the obviously the top three are the top three, but anything other than Everton and Reading, you're not too fearful about, John?
No, not really, because I think that we'll improve as well. So I can't see any other team closing that gap on us, and then extra points as well that I think that we'll get as well. I think the strength in depth that we've got compared to last season, regarding the players that we brought in, I can't see us slipping against some of the weaker teams. Okay, we might have one bad game, but generally, I can't see us getting any less points than we had last season. Although what I would say is very similar to what Jake said. I think the Reading and Everton games will be obviously a lot tighter now. We can't go in there as confident as maybe this season that I went in. But then on the flip side to that, we might drop points against Reading and Everton, but snatch a couple of points against City or Arsenal. So that could happen as well.
And that was going to be my next point. Jake, for you, the same. Everton, Reading, no one else really below them.
Yeah, Everton, Reading. You look at the other teams. You like to see your Spurs, your West Ham. I still think we're a bit better than them. No disrespect to them. They have every right to be in this league. Also, just a quick honourable mention to Villa. They could be a bit of a surprise package. Being promoted, making so many changes, bringing in new signings, and they've. We saw last season they really stepped up in the Championship. They rightfully won it against the likes of Sheffield United and Durham, who are good teams in their own right. So yeah, I think Villa are going to be a bit of a surprise package. Might be a tough game, but it's hard to judge, with so many changes. But yeah, as I say, I think it's Reading and Everton, the main two.
So John mentioned, if we drop points against Everton, Reading, maybe we'll pick up against City, Arsenal, and Chelsea. So he's opened that up. So let's have a chat about that. Can you see us, Jake, taking anything from Chelsea in 2 weeks? I put you on the spot. I apologise.
Look, Mark, I love to be an optimist, but no, I can't. Look, Chelsea are the champions, and I'll say it now. I think they're going to win the league again this season. I can't see City or Arsenal winning it. Look, I think they're going to beat us. Not massively, but, maybe 1-0, 2-1 maybe. Chelsea are going to win. Sorry.
Sorry. Jake's not coming on the podcast anymore, I'm only joking. John?
Yeah, I think Chelsea was the team that I was impressed with the most last season. I thought that we was very unlucky against City, very similar to Arsenal, like last couple of minutes where they got their goal. So Chelsea for me are the favourites again this season. But what I would say is we always say the first game of the season, if you're ever going to play one of the bigger teams, maybe the first game is a good time to play them before them settled. We could catch them off guard. Look, I know that we're underdogs. I don't came from home or away. We are the underdogs against Chelsea, absolutely. But we know how we pushed City very far in that opening game of the season last season. Maybe we can do the same this season. We spoke about Jackie getting a bit of confidence in pre-season. Wouldn't it be great if she could score her first goal against Chelsea as well?
What I love about doing these podcasts, not only speaking to you two guys, but it's the comments that are coming in. So John Fry says, "Why not a one-off game? We can beat anyone." I don't think any of the three of us would disagree with that. One-off game, we can beat anyone. Fiona has said, "We pushed Chelsea last season. If we can put away some of our chances, anything can happen," which is something that we've all said. And then John has said, "But maybe Man City, we might get points off." And as a Mancunian, if Chelsea, I think are the best team in the WSL. I don't think there's many people out there who would probably disagree with that. But as a Mancunian, if you're going to take any points off any team at any time, it has to be City for me, because they are the team that I think is. I don't know whether you two agree with this or not, but I think City are the ones who are likely to maybe finish third than second. Would you agree with that, Jake?
I disagree. I can see Chelsea and City going right down to the wire for the title race, because look at City signings. They've really stepped up. Chloe Kelly, Sam Mewis, now Rose Lavelle as well. They are title-winning signings potentially, but I can see Chelsea edging it. Arsenal, third. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Right. Can I just put this to bed? I'm not half blue. I'm red. Okay. Just because some of my family are blues doesn't make me half blue. And that's coming from my wife's family who are blues as well. So, hey. John, would you have said City second, Arsenal third then?
I think judging them on last season, I wasn't as impressed with City. I know the points obviously say differently because the points obviously are so close and they actually finished above Chelsea before the points per game. So I think last season, out of the top three, the team that I was least worried about would have been City. But as Jake says, they have made some good signings. I think it's a bit of a toss-up for me, really. I think it's okay making good signings, but how are they actually going to play? They've got obviously good on paper, but they've still got to prove themselves. For playing for City. But I think one thing we're all agreed on is that Chelsea's pretty much safe this season. It's going to be one of the other two teams. Yeah.
Deborah's confirmed it. She's half a blue, but in truth, she's all red.
Okay.
You know.
Can I just say one thing about City that we've all missed for a second? New manager, of course, Nick Cushing.
New manager. I was going to mention that.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Sorry.
It's all right. But, you can host it, Jake. If you can host.
No, I think it's about how well he's going to gel with the team, and his new ideas, his tactics. Because yes, we're all talking about signings at the moment, and I'm just throwing names here, left, right, and centre. But management. When you have a managerial change, that's big as well. You've got to keep in mind Birmingham as well with Carla Ward.
Yeah. What I like about doing these podcasts is that Jake comes on and he's got his research done. He knows exactly his talking points, and it's brilliant because it's really great. John Fry actually agrees with you, Jake. A new coach too, so it depends on City's tactics, and he's right. I would have probably said Chelsea, Arsenal, City, but I think you've both kind of taught me around now. Oh well. Hey, it's where we are. But Chelsea have strengthened well. I think you would say, Jake.
Yeah,
City have strengthened well.
Definitely.
So
well, I think we're in a situation where everyone's strengthening well at this point. I can't really pinpoint one team that hasn't. Okay, Birmingham, but there's signings to come, or so they say. But look, you could say that about everyone now. So it's so hard to predict this season. It really is. I think we might have a few surprise finishes.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there in the social media world who say top three, and if it's not top three, the season's a failure for Casey and all that kind of rhetoric. We said at the very beginning, a fourth and close to third is a great season. Not having to look at Reading or Everton close on our shoulders is great as well. So we don't know when we're going to get back into grounds. We're hopeful it's sooner rather than later. What game are you looking forward to going to, John?
I'll go for two different ones. So obviously City, home game against City. So if our first game back is City at home, I think that will be probably the one I look forward to the most. I'm probably one of the minority that's actually going to feel disappointed that we missed Birmingham away, because obviously I'm from Birmingham. It's literally around the corner from where I work, so I almost have to drive past the stadium to go to the motorway home. So for me, I'm disappointed in missing that one. So the other one I look forward to is Villa away. They've got a new stadium now. I've been to that stadium. I'm sure you have as well, Mark, I think, in Warsaw. So that's a place where I grew up. So, and hopefully I'll be able to get a few Villa fans down there as well, because I work with too many of them. So for me, Man City at home and Villa away are going to be the two that I'm going to look forward to. Yeah.
Jake?
I want to go for a completely different one. And I'm going to say, based on atmosphere alone, Arsenal at home, because I think we all remember, the first home game last season. It was a Monday night. The atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. Ultimately, the result didn't go our way, but we really got under their skin. I think when we're there, we really. It's a cliche to say fans make all the difference, but I really think we do. Not just for our girls, but for the opposition. Because I remember that night, some Arsenal players didn't have the best of games, and it took obviously a very late winner for them to actually take the points. So yeah, it was such a good atmosphere. I just can't wait to have that again against Arsenal. Cheering our players, booing all theirs. It was good. If it was one game we could relive, I think it would be that one. Even though it was the result, it was everything building up to it.
Okay. Obviously, Deborah's put a comment in, Jake. You're not going to guess what it is.
Yes, he does. Yeah, honestly, I think Everton should move back. I don't know why they moved away from Southport. It was a beautiful ground.
Do you know something, Jake? I have to agree with you. I do.
There you go.
I know I do. The two times we've been there.
Yes.
Southport, both brilliant games. Both, the Thursday night one, which we've talked about in the past, was a brilliant night, and then last season with that whole end that we had behind the goal was just brilliant. And then we went to the new ground and it kind of lost something, I think. But it was all right. It wasn't. It was okay. The result was the main thing that day, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what are we going to talk about now? Quickly think of something. So, when we talk about next season as a whole, Chelsea, I think you're both saying are going to win it again. Because obviously the third place now is a Champions League place as well. So, is that something that we should be looking to try and get to as Champions League next? In a season time.
I think it's a credit. I was going to mention it a little earlier. The fact that all these teams are strengthening. I think you mentioned that every team apart from Birmingham at the moment is strengthened. That must mean that obviously English football strengthened, and if that's the case, then we deserve that extra European spot, and now we've got it. So I think now that it's there, obviously it's a massive incentive for all the clubs below the top three to push for that. Look, you also mentioned that would it be a failure for Casey as she underperformed if we don't get third? It's all about progression, and if we've progressed, then of course progression is down to opinion, isn't it? People will say progression as different things. Is it from fourth to third? Is it a points gap? Is it a cup final this time? There's so many different things. So, I think so long as we close the gap on third, even though I want third, you asked me, would I settle for, what would I settle for? I wouldn't settle for fourth. I think we should push for third. But, if we end up with fourth and closing the gap on points and getting to a final at least, then for me, that's progression, and Casey did another good job.
Yeah. Just before we go on to the next point, my two away games, the two games I'm looking forward to the most, one of them is obviously the same as John's, Manchester Derby. It's got to be that. But for me, I've gone the other way to you, Jake. I've gone for Boreham Wood for Arsenal away. Because when we went down, when we were in the Conti semi-final, it was a brilliant night. It was a brilliant... In fact, I don't know whether Dave and Nat are even still... I don't know if they're on. But it was a proper away day. We were going to Baghdad train. It was brilliant. So I'm looking forward to Arsenal because it was, we had a lot of the Cockney Reds coming down as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Deborah's asked the question: does the second half of the season become more intriguing if teams assign players or only on short term? Those players going back. Jake, you can answer that one.
That's really interesting because, you look at some of the players that have been brought in from obviously from the US who will start their season halfway through ours, if that makes sense. So they leave the teams that they're on loan to, and yeah, Deborah's right. That leaves a good. I don't know how many games. Let's say at least 6-7 games where you've lost your new signings, and that's just an estimate, by the way. But you've lost your new signings, and the team that you had permanently sort of have to fill in that gap. So yeah, the season might not be done and dusted by those last few games. So who knows when the on loan, if you like, players leave, everything could be shaken up. So yeah, just sort of keeps us guessing the whole season.
I've just been informed Nat was with us, but she's now stalking Twitter for the Press Heath rumours. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Can you imagine if that happens? Yeah.
Starting lineup against Chelsea, then obviously Chelsea's going to be the first game. I mean, based on what we've seen in pre-season and in training, has anyone got any ideas on what formation we might go for, or any players? Or
well, and from what I've from what I've seen on the video, it's been two different formations. Actually, Nat's not on Twitter. According to Fiona, she's on the way to the airport to pick up.
Right.
John, it's a great question. I don't know. Is the honest answer. Those the videos that United put out, as great as they are, they're only short, and you can't really do your tactical analysis. Sorry, guys. It's Fiona. She'll quarantine with them if need be as well, just to make sure they're here. Well, I suppose they'll have to quarantine, won't they, if they're coming in from the US? It's 2 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they won't be ready for the Chelsea game. Oh, no, they might just be.
Yeah.
They can still keep the fitness, I suppose. It's just that's the
in the garden.
Yeah.
John said they've been playing a 4-2-3-1, which is kind of similar to last season, but we're scoring,
I think from what I saw from the starting lineup of the first game, that's the way it come across to me as well. It was very similar, obviously different personnel, but you've had your two wide players, two wide players, but someone up front, and then three in midfield. So I can see whether it's 4-2-3-1 or 4-1-2-3-1, whichever it would be. Sorry, but I think it's going to be a flat back four looking at it, and then just a bit of how you go above that is obviously down to the game, maybe.
Yeah. Deborah said about the US players. I think it's been said that the US players that you've signed haven't come over yet, so they need to quarantine on arrival. So okay, so they won't be ready for a while. Obviously, it's got to be taken into account all these things. So let's have a quick game of fantasy football. Let's say Tobin Heath and Christian Press come in. Who doesn't start then against Chelsea?
Ooh.
See, it's a tough one now.
Well, I've not had any thinking time because you hit me with the rumour earlier in the podcast. And now you're
It's
like,
it's the first I've heard about it, Jake. It's, it kind of. I think our reaction was like, "Oh, okay." Do you want some thinking time about it, Jake?
Yeah, please.
Okay, John.
Thanks.
We'll do it to the end. We'll do it at the end. So, let's say, your starting lineup then for Chelsea. I know you probably. Are you going to go with your strongest team straight away? Obviously, I think we all are.
I would probably go for one of the more experienced teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see like Curtis Smith in there, or even very similar to the way we finished last season. And I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, and that's our way forward going through the season. But if we suddenly start that game with Amy Turner on the right and Curtis Smith on the left, I wouldn't be surprised purely just because of the experience that they bring. I'm not saying the rest of the season is going to be like that at all. But how quickly is Owner settled in, we don't know just yet. And is that the kind of game that we want to throw him in at? How's Lotta doing in training? So regarding the back four, we might see something in that game that's a bit different to the rest of the season. And it might be. We might not see that many surprises, to be honest. I don't really know about that one.
Okay, Jake, you can answer John on this one very quickly. What positions did Tobin Heath and Christian Press play?
I believe Christian Press is a midfielder and Tobin Heath is fullback/winger. I'm not quite sure on Tobin Heath though, so someone might be able to correct me.
John, what I can guarantee that as soon as this podcast is over, Jake's going to be doing his research. It'll be done. It'll be done. That's all I can say. I'm going to agree with you, John. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a more experienced 11 against Chelsea. Jake, same.
Yeah, I think he's got experience, but also I'd like to see us go defensive. And I know that's very, something that's been criticised a lot, but it's Chelsea. It's the best team in the league, and we all know they score goals. We all know the types of players they have up front. So I think we need to go defensive for that first game, and then maybe second game against Birmingham, who are complete opposite, one of the worst teams in the league. Then we can sort of be a bit more attacking and positive, if you like.
We talk about progression on last season. I mean, if you take a game by game, I'm not saying that we can get a draw against Chelsea. I'm sure we can, but I'm not. I'm realistic. I appreciate that. But if we can get a 0-0 draw against Chelsea and a win against Birmingham, all of a sudden we're 4 points ahead of where we was this time last season. So like Jake said, if we can just keep it tight, then all of a sudden we're flying compared to this time last season. We could get off to a fantastic start, couldn't we?
Yeah. Evening, Reese. Thanks for joining us. And Jake, you don't need to do your research because Fiona's done it for you. She's a winger.
Thanks, Fiona.
So what would you? So the Chelsea game, John, would you say then a 0-0? You would take a 0-0 if I was to say to you 0-0 right here, right now? Would you take it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I say, there are certain things where you've got to be realistic, and that would be a fantastic achievement. It's the first time that we would have took a point off the top three in a WSL game, anyway. So a 0-0 draw, I'll be there shouting, just saying, "Hang on, go to the corner flag, do whatever you need to do, just get that 0-0 draw," knowing full well that the following game, we should be able to do well against Birmingham. So yeah, absolutely, a 0-0 draw on that one. Yeah, what do you think, Jake?
Jake?
Yeah, look, I'm completely with John on that one. I'll take a point. I'll take anything. Obviously, you never want to settle for defeat. So, 0-0, 1-1, even 5-5. I'll just take
5-5?
I'll take
a 5-5 game, Jake. That'll do my...
Imagine.
Oh. No, I don't want to, because we'll all be sat there around the screen and none of us will be going mad. Reese has now this is controversial. Reese has said he's got a strong gut feeling we'll sneak a late winner, 1-0.
Ooh, that would be
it's only a matter of time before we get some good luck, isn't it, really? I mean, we had some bad luck against Arsenal, even though Arsenal potentially deserved to win that game. It's still bad luck to concede that last couple of minutes. And Chelsea, Chelsea obviously, that dodgy penalty away. City, Jackie hit the post in the last few minutes where we could have equalised, and the FA Cup game against City where the ball went over the line. We have had a lot of bad luck against these top three teams, so maybe we can get lucky and get that last minute goal against them.
So I'm going to give you a bit more thinking time. So John has put out his starting 11, what he thinks. Mary, Amy, Abby, Millie, Kirsty Smith, Hayley, Jackie, Kirsty Hanson, LJ if fit, Leah and Jess. And if it's not LJ, Ella. So, you're starting 11s now. You don't have to have Tobin Heath or Christian Press in it because we don't know whether that's happening. Just before we do that, avoid a penalty because Torrin doesn't want Mielda to score against us again. Yeah, that's fine. And I mean, imagine this.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh,
the internet would explode.
It would just go down. United fans would take the internet down in a heap.
But we're not there to see, though, are we? That's the problem. The first Jackie goal, we're not there for it to go.
No. And Deb has asked, quick question for me: would you buy a new shirt with the name on the back if Heath or Press side? No, I don't. I won't do that. Sorry. So, what we were saying, starting 11s. Jake, you're starting 11 for Chelsea.
Okay, so obviously go for Mary in goal. And then back four, you know what? I would go Millie and Amy at the back, just because Amy, we know the tackles she can put in if she needs to. Left back, Kirsty Smith. Right back, Honor. I'm going to put Honor in her natural right back position, which is, again, a bit of an experiment. I've not seen much of her, but I have faith. And I'm going to go 5 in the middle and just 1 up front because, as I say, we need to be quite defensive in that game, my opinion at least. So, obviously, Leah and Kirsty are 2 wingers on either side. Then in the middle, this is the one I've struggled with because I want Jackie in there. Definitely. I want Hayley as well. And I'm a little bit split on whether I want Lucy or Katie as well. Because, look, we all know how much I love Lucy. But in this game, we're going to have to hold a lot. And for me, Lucy's a very much attack-minded player. So I'm going to go for in the middle, Jackie, Hayley, Katie. I'm going to leave Lucy on the bench. Maybe bring her on later on. Then up front, on her own, Jets. But I'd like to see Ivana come on later. Maybe LJ as well. There's just so many possibilities up front. That's the issue with what we're going to find this season.
Yeah. John is saying yes. I presume that's to Fiona's imagine a last minute goal by Jackie. John, you're starting 11?
Yes, similar. Obviously, Mary in goal. I'm going to go for a centre-back pairing of Abby and Millie. But I do want Amy to play, so I've got a feeling that I'd put her on the right-hand side for this game. Kirsty on the left for experience. And we know she can get forward as well. So where Amy maybe can't get forward as good, maybe Kirsty can on the left. The midfield. I'm probably going to keep it safe, unfortunately, and probably keep it the same as the way that we finished or the way we played last season. And I know I'm probably going to upset a few people on that one, but until I see more of Lucy, or until maybe Casey sees more of Lucy in that midfield, then I can still see the same midfield three, and Lucy's probably got to work her way in. A lot of people would probably say she deserves a shot anyway because of her experience or a pass anyway. So for me, it's still Hayley, Katie, and who was the one that I missed out? Hayley, Katie, and Jackie. Out wide, I still think we've got our best balance with Galton and Hansen. And everyone knows how much I love Jess. So yeah, if LJ is not fit, then obviously Jess. So not too much difference, I don't think, from Jake, and I think John as well in the comments. But that's not necessarily saying that that's just basing it on what I saw last season. If Casey's seeing something different in pre-season, then obviously she's going to go for what she thinks is the strongest team over the last month that she's been with them.
My team is exactly the same. Exactly the same. Just Chelsea will be a tougher game, and like you both said, maybe against Birmingham we experiment, and maybe Jake, maybe your bet might come true in the Birmingham game.
You think so?
Hey, why not?
Well, we all say Birmingham are the weakest team, and they are, but I don't want to be too carried away. I can see us beating them comfortably, but. Come on.
You want to tell everyone what the bet is?
Yeah, well, a certain person, Ian, puts £20 on the line because he's so convinced that my idol, my legendary striker Jane Ross, will not score a hat trick this season. Which I've said, I think she'll do it in the Conti Cup, but we've agreed that it'll be all competitive matches that it's valid in. So if she does score a hat trick, then. Yeah, Ian has to pay up, so
he does. And he's
game, but we'll see.
He's pretty adamant it's not going to happen.
It will.
And that's why, Jake, I hope it does. Because Ian won't give his money over that easily. Trust me.
Oh, I can't wait.
So we're both all saying a draw against Chelsea. Are we all saying 3 points against Birmingham at this point?
Yeah. John?
Yeah, and hopefully a few debut matches for some of our new players as well. That'll be nice, definitely.
Yeah. Deborah's put in the comments, never mind a last-minute goal. I'll take any goal by Jackie, especially if it's a winner. Yeah. And John has talked about Birmingham. Against Birmingham, just Hayley is the one defensive midfielder. Yeah, I would agree with that. Maybe that's the game where you play Hayley and Lucy Stan together.
Against their old club.
You never know. But as we start to wrap it up for tonight, I think what we kind of said is that we want to get pushed closer to third, get further away from fifth or sixth. But if we finish fourth, have a good cup run again, and we score, we're closer to third. We'd say that right here, right now. Yeah,
absolutely.
John, yeah.
Yeah, it would be, especially if we can get that final. I'd definitely be happy with fourth if we can get to a final as well, definitely.
Yeah. Any preference which cup final you go to, John, or is it just any?
Any, it's just the day out, isn't it, to me? It'll be fantastic, won't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Jake, I'm not even going to ask you because I already know.
Well, can I say something that might shock you a little bit?
Go on.
If we get to the point where I think we will, fans next season can go back to the FA Cup final. Nothing beats a day at Wembley. And as much as I love the Conti Cup, a day out at Wembley, imagine. I'd love it. So, yeah, that's dreaming.
No, I mean, look, going to Wembley for a cup final is an awesome day. So, yeah. If you had to choose between either one, for me, I'd take the FA Cup. As much as I like the Conti, you take the FA Cup. Yeah,
it's just more prestigious. I completely agree.
Yeah, John, would you say so as well? The FA Cup over the Conti
for the Wembley situation. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So I want to thank you both for coming on again tonight. And guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We do a social Sunday every Sunday. We've been doing it for the past 23 weeks now. It's a lot of fun. So just before we finish, Jake, Belarus, no football again now by the look of it.
They've not been postponed yet, so that might change in the next few hours. But fingers crossed, we might just see some action this weekend.
So Jake comes on our social, but over the lockdown period, he's got into Belarusian football, and we have a lot of fun on the social. So if you want to join us on our social on Sunday, send us a DM or send us a message, and we'll get you into the social with us. Hopefully, we'll be sending out some details over social media about a watch along for the first game. In the meantime, guys, take care, be safe. Thanks for watching.